So
I would suggest that if John had anything to add to this, that would you like to do that, please?
Sure.
Okay. Please come join us.
you and I will probably say the same things, but kind of get you from our perspective. First thing is that we actually started in '89. We didn't open our building until '92. We did that with a grant. Part of the grant, we kind of split the grant up for equipment for solid waste and the building, and the majority of the building, of course, was paid for by Howard Center, by donations. We have a farm that was given to us some years ago, so a lot of that money went towards it. So it was paid for. The building itself was paid for in about 2 years by us. The agreement was basically to set it up so that we got 25% reduction of the landfill. Within the first 2 years, we were able to achieve that. We were like the third county in the state to be able to achieve 25% reduction. And pretty much, I think if you look at that, I think we're still there. And I think the numbers that kind of throw that off occasionally is construction and demolition. It's something that people don't think about. But that, in the last few years, we know how much that's caused problems with shingles and with wood and all kinds of things that have gone to landfill. I think, and Dean can correct me, according to what Jim was talking about to me about was that demolition construction kind of got thrown into that 25%, which kind of threw off what we were doing, because 25% was basically your household, and that was the original thing, but things kind of changed in the middle there. But I think if you really looked at the household part of it, people in Sac County did a very good job of recycling, and that 25% that DNR mandated, we accomplished. Howard Center set it up so that it was going to be a break-even operation. It was set up so that we would sell the materials for the best price we could and take that off of what our costs were. We did that because, number one, I had some colleagues doing this across the state. We did that because you have to have cash flow to keep that 25% going. And that 25% was to save space in the landfill. That's really what the Solid Waste Agency was looking for. They were looking at the mandate to keep 25% out. I will say, as far as Solid Waste Agency is concerned, they have lived up to their bargain. We've lived up to our bargain. We've done the contract. 6 months ago, I told Mr. Stock I would support him 100% if he can find a better way to do it. And I realize the last 2 years have been expensive. 2 reasons. Adam was correct. Is that we did have a recession, and the recession may not have hit this area as hard as it has the bigger cities and those sort of things. Most of our materials go to the bigger cities. And so they were sitting on mountains of stuff that they couldn't sell. And so we were just giving the very base price we could get for them. Some of the things like tin cans at one point we were basically almost had to pay to make them go away. So we know the last 2 years are not representative of what had happened up until then. Up until then, I think things were going very well. And I think the last 2 years, because of the price of commodities that Adam brought up, farmers, they have a farm program. They can help to stabilize those ups and downs in your commodities market. Recyclables are no different than any other commodity. It's but it's totally free market. It's totally up and down. It depends on what's happening out there. You say a big city decides they're going to recycle like we have. They're going to put a lot more materials out there. That affects it. What really affected, though, is the economy and the fact that they were not buying materials. And so we gladly admit, no, that the last 2 years have not been cost effective as far as I'm concerned. And we feel the same way. The thing that you have to keep in mind, though, is that there are no bad guys in any of this scenario. Okay? It's a problem of we set it up, it worked. Jim and I didn't know whether it was going to work for 5 years or 10 years. We knew that we had to get that 25% reduction. That's how we set it up. We set it up so Howard Center is not making a profit. And a lot of people think we're making a profit. There's no profit there. When you talk about, you bring up the building and that. At the time, I tried to call it rent. Okay? Somebody brought up the fact that we call it leasing the building. Some people, in the end, I think it was someone from the Solid Waste Agency said, no, we would rather prefer to call it depreciation of the building. We said, well, we don't care. It's the same thing. What you're doing is, like I told Dean, it's like if I wanted to go raise a bunch of hogs at one of his farm buildings, it's going to get used up. It's going to depreciate. And I would not expect to raise hogs out of his building without giving him something for his building depreciating. And that's really what that dollar amount is for. And a few years ago, we decided, okay, we at the Howard Center Board we agreed with the solid waste agency that it would be time limited. I'm not sure how many years are left. It might be 2013 or something like that when it's in that neighborhood. We set up a 10-year, when we did it, I think we set up a 10-year so that that depreciation would finalize. Okay, I think we used a CPA to figure that all out. I don't remember I'm not a CPA, so I didn't, but we came up with that number, everybody was in agreement with that. So at that time frame, that depreciation would be gone if we were to continue.
And I'm sorry, John, just
nope,
to interrupt.
No problem.
That number is $13,241
a year.
So that stamp was paid
per year.
Okay.
Per year to use the building. We did, and another thing that affected it was about 2007. The Howard Center was operating the Cannonball Redemption Center out of there, and we were using probably a third of the building, and we were paying a third of the utilities, and we were paying a third of everything. But the county no longer had money for vocational services that they paid for. And it's too complicated to get into how human services are paid for at this meeting, and I don't want to go into that. I can, but I won't. But the point is that they ran out of money, weren't able to purchase day services that we were providing. We ended up with 2 people that were capable of sorting cans, if you will. So you're talking about 100,000 cans a month. 2 people can't do it. And we weren't making money on that project anyway at a penny a can since 1978. So you weren't making money on it, but we call it, in the business world, you call it the loss leader. So what it did is it allowed us to serve people with disabilities and teach people how to work. And the recycling center, the whole point was that also. A lot of people at that time wanted to take the recycling to Carroll or Storm Lake, either one. We argued that we could use this program to teach people how to work and to get more people jobs. That mission was accomplished. We have like 5 or 6 people that work at Farner Bakken now that learned to work at the recycling center. Right now you have, it's about half and half. Half the people that work there on a daily basis are people from the community. The other half are people that used to be clients but now are employees of Howard Center. They're no longer getting paid. We're no longer getting paid to have them come work at the recycling center. So that mission was accomplished too. You got 2 people with disabilities jobs that didn't have jobs before. So that's our goal. That's what we do. This is find people jobs, help support people in their own apartments versus in institutional settings, which are much more costly. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm proud of what it accomplished in that regard.